The champagne bottle exploded before HR could finish the word misplaced. Not from celebration, no. It rolled off the kitchenette counter and cracked against the linoleum like it knew. Like it had just read the Friday 4:57 p.m. email from Payroll. Due to internal adjustments, your annual bonus has been deferred. We appreciate your understanding. The rest of the office was already dead. Silent. Post-holiday party hangover kind of dead. Desk still littered with cookie tins and passive-aggressive Secret Santa notes. My bonus? That was supposed to cover the final licensing fee on a project I'd been building in secret for 10 months. One more payment and the IP would have been mine. Legally. Permanently. Now it was hanging by a thread, and that thread just got frayed by the same people who ordered employee experience stress balls. I stared at the broken bottle. Way it leaked onto my suede boots like it knew the metaphor I was choking on. Misplaced, huh? Like they misplace umbrellas or office plants, or women's credit in meetings. I didn't scream, I didn't call legal. I didn't go to my supervisor's office and throw a desk phone like a righteous banshee. No, that's not my style. You don't set fires with gasoline when you already wired the building for demolition. Instead, I walked calmly, deliberately, past the Christmas tree still blinking in admin, past the frozen smile of Trish from HR who chirped, "Everything okay?" It wasn't, and back to my desk. Then I opened the binder. No one at the agency knew about the binder. Not the CEO, not the smug VP who called me kiddo in Q3 strategy calls, not even my fiancé, who thought I worked late because I was driven. The binder was a black, leather-bound Trojan horse of NDAs, contact logs, screenshots, recorded Zooms, and contract drafts. And sitting right at the top, a retainer agreement, unsigned, waiting for just one reason to become real. The client? Let's just say their name makes boardrooms shake and stock tickers twitch. They were our white whale. We'd pitched them for 3 years. Dinners, flights, 4 rejected decks. I watched as my boss fumbled the last one because he thought AI optimization meant replacing interns with ChatGPT. Last week, the client called me, directly. "Do you have autonomy where you are?" he asked, like he already knew the answer. I said I'd call back when the moment felt right, and it just did. I hit send on an encrypted DocuSign. Typed one sentence, "They misplaced my loyalty, so I'm reclaiming it with interest." I shut my laptop. Outside the office, my Uber was already waiting, a black Tesla I didn't order. Driver's name? Lucas, same as the CTO of the rival agency I'd been quietly building. He didn't say a word, just smiled like he knew, because he did, because this wasn't plan B. This was the plan all along. By Monday morning, they were bleeding. Not literally, though based on the CEO's face during the emergency all-hands, someone might have checked for coronary. The Slack channels started popping at 6:42 a.m., a full hour before I normally got in. "Did we lose X Corp?" Someone whispered in BizDev. Then someone else posted the email, an official termination notice from X Corp's legal team, cold as concrete, addressed not to our firm but to me, at my new business email. That's when the panic hit full saturation. I wasn't there to see it. I was in a different office, one that still smelled like paint and fresh plywood, one that had a couch I picked out from an estate sale and a coffee machine that didn't feel like a war crime. Lucas had taken me straight there Friday night after the bonus stunt. We worked through the weekend, finalizing contracts, onboarding X-Corp's assets, migrating the ad spend behind a wall they couldn't breach without setting off alarms. By sunrise Monday, we were real, registered, banked, staffed. At 8:13 a.m., my ex-boss Mark called, didn't answer. He tried again at 8:16, 8:21, then a text, "You've made a serious mistake. We can fix this, but you need to call me back now. Fix this. Oh, honey, you don't fix what's already been dismantled, quietly, legally, deliciously." See, what they didn't know, what Mark still didn't realize, was that the licensing contract tied to my bonus was never meant for them. It was always under my name, privately negotiated with a shell company I formed during the first round of company morale layoffs. While they were trimming heads for optics, I was trimming fat for freedom. My agency, named Plinth, was built from the bones they ignored. The designers they laid off, the junior analyst who had the best forecasting model I'd ever seen, the copywriter who cried after getting demoted because her boss didn't get her tone. It all worked for me now. They just didn't know it until Monday. Until I walked into our first meeting wearing the same blazer I wore the day Mark told me I lacked leadership presence. Lucas handed out welcome folders. I slid the final client schedule onto the screen, and that's when Danielle, our former client manager, walked in, Mark's right hand, his loyal little lieutenant who once told me to tone down the ambition. She smiled, set her coffee down. Surprised, I nodded, not at all, because I knew exactly what she saw in their backend last week. I knew about the overbilled hours, the fake engagement metrics, the line items padded like a trust fund brat's resume. I'd fed them to her. "Mark's gonna lose his goddamn mind," she whispered with a grin. I leaned in, he already did. At 10:04 a.m., I got a calendar invite from Mark. Subject, coffee, just 10 minutes. Location, 3rd floor. Our usual table. Note, no hard feelings, just want to talk. Classic, the friendly ambush maneuver. The same one he used on laid-off employees 2 years ago, smiles over cappuccinos, HR lurking nearby like vultures in Lululemon. But this time, there was no severance package waiting. I was the one holding the knife, and he still thought it was a handshake. I clicked accept. 10 minutes later, I walked through the revolving glass doors of the agency I'd ghosted 48 hours earlier. They were already peeling off the X Corp logos from the lobby wall, like removing a tumor. I didn't speak to the receptionist, didn't check in, just gave her a nod. She flinched like I was a ghost carrying lawsuits. Mark was waiting at our table, pretending to scroll his phone. Double espresso in front of him. No drink for me. Of course not. That was the tell. He wasn't here to talk. He was here to record. I sat, didn't take off my coat. You really went through with it, he said, voice tight. I raised an eyebrow. You thought I was bluffing? I thought you were smarter than this, he said. Do you understand what you've done? I leaned forward, rested my elbows on the table. You mean, do I understand that I took the one client that paid for 40% of your operations, convinced half your best staff to jump ship, and launched a competitor in 72 hours? He blinked, swallowed. You don't win this way, he said. You think they're loyal to you? You think those people left because they believe in your little DIY agency? I smiled. No, they left because they know what it feels like to be under you. And they've seen what I do without a leash. He looked me dead in the eye. For the first time in 5 years, I saw something behind the smugness, something unshaven and scared. You stole from us. He hissed, wrong word. No, I said calmly. You misplaced me, just like you misplaced my bonus, my ideas, my name on pitch decks. You taught me exactly how disposable I was, so I disposed of you. He reached into his coat pocket and slid something across the table. A manila envelope. Signed NDAs, he said. You know what this means. I didn't even touch it. Just looked at it like it was a dead animal. You sure you want to open that door? I said softly. Because I've got screenshots, time-stamped edits, and a line-by-line breakdown of every time you slapped your name on my work. He paled. You think clients won't care? He shot back. Clients, I laughed. The ones you've been billing for executive consulting hours while golfing with pharmaceutical VPs in Scottsdale? I think they'll care plenty. I stood. Enjoy your espresso, Mark. Then I whispered just loud enough. You're about to know what loyalty really costs. By noon, Plinth was trending on LinkedIn. Not because we posted anything. We didn't need to. The implosion across town was doing our PR for us. Someone leaked the X Corp exit memo, full of brutal little lines like lack of transparency, failure to meet deliverables, and the death sentence. We are migrating all brand strategy and media planning to a new agency. They didn't name us, but they didn't have to. People started connecting the dots faster than a bored Reddit mod on Adderall. Danielle was already fielding recruiter DMs from agency rats looking to jump ship. Lucas was securing new servers to handle the inbound interest. And me? I was sitting on a milk crate in our half-furnished conference room, eating a soggy egg sandwich and reading the internal meltdown thread from my old company's Slack. I had a burner login. Of course I did. From back when I helped audit the comms channels for culture alignment. Translation, they paid me to read other people's despair and pretend it was strategy. The thread was called Stabilization Plan. Oh, it was rich. Someone proposed slashing junior salaries. Another floated putting together a client win deck, even though they hadn't won a single pitch in months. Then someone, Mark, probably, suggested rehiring me under a performance clause. That one got 5 clown emojis before being deleted. I was mid-shoe when a text came through from an unknown number. Nice move, but you just made enemies. T no signature, just that one letter. T could have been Tyler, the compliance guy with the rat face, or Tina, Mark's favorite yes woman, or hell, the CEO. The one who still called me kiddo even after I landed the firm their biggest Q1 growth in 5 years. I didn't reply, just screenshotted it and forwarded it to Lucas. He called me 5 minutes later. Want me to trace it? I shook my head. No, let them sweat. Truth is, I wanted them to come after me, because if they did, I could open the other folder. The one marked Nightingale. That was the code name for the project I built in the shadows, planted in their systems like a seed bomb. A full client risk analysis of their portfolio, not just X Corp, but every vendor, every account, every whisper of fraud, oversight, negligence. I used their tools to build the bullet that would gut them. I didn't plan on using it, not yet, not unless they went nuclear first. But Titak's message felt like a spark. Meanwhile, Danielle burst in from the hallway out of breath. You need to see this, she said, tossing her iPad onto the table. It was a video from X Corp's internal town hall. Someone had leaked it to Reddit. The coup, red-faced and panicking, was trying to explain why their marketing pipeline had vanished overnight. Then one of their senior VPs stood up and said, loud and clear, if she built it and we lost her, what the hell did we expect to happen? The room went silent. Then the video cut. Danielle grinned like she'd just watched a wedding proposal at a funeral. You want me to post it? She asked. I took a long sip of coffee. Let the silence stretch. Not yet, I said. Let them wonder who else is about to leave next. The first lawsuit didn't come in an envelope. It came as a calendar block. Tuesday morning, 7 a.m., an urgent alignment meeting sent from Tina Reeves, VP of Internal Affairs, the same woman who once told me to smile more on Zoom so I'd seem less aggressive during client calls. Location, neutral site. Translation, legal ambush with muffins. I didn't decline. I forwarded it straight to my lawyer, Keisha Alvarez, a one-woman wrecking crew with the kind of smile that makes opposing counsel ask to reschedule. She showed up in a cobalt suit and 6-inch heels that clicked like a metronome for fear. We walked into that glass cube conference room like it was a runway. Tina was already there, flanked by 2 lawyers in wrinkle-proof startup suits and zero charisma. Her smile, powdered sugar on arsenic. "Let's keep this civil," she said, folding her hands like a sitcom mom about to disown her child. Keisha didn't sit. She dropped a single thumb drive on the table. "This contains the source files, timestamps, and original licensing contracts for the disputed materials. My client built them off-platform, on personal time, using personal equipment. You're welcome to challenge that if you enjoy losing in federal court." The suits exchanged glances. Tina exhaled through her nose. "We're not here to litigate, we're here to negotiate." Keisha tilted her head. "Strange, I don't see anything worth negotiating. Unless you'd like to issue a public apology for breach of contract and gender-based pay suppression." Tina cut her off. "We'll make this simple," she said. "Sign a non-compete, walk away from X Corp and Plinth. We'll wire you $200,000. Clean break, no PR war, no discovery, just quiet." I stared at her. Then I laughed, full chest. "No apology, you want to buy my silence? After you stiffed me on a bonus and plagiarized my work into your VP's QBR slides?" Tina's face twitched. Keisha slid a paper across the table. "Here's our counter." They skimmed it. Tina looked up. "You're kidding." I smiled. "Nope." The paper demanded a written admission of retaliation regarding my bonus. Immediate public correction of authorship on all project decks from 2022. Company-wide statement affirming my departure was voluntary. And $1. One symbolic dollar wired from their executive fund to Plinth's payroll as restitution. The suits looked like they'd swallowed their ties. "We'll review," one said, voice flat. Keisha collected the thumb drive. "Clock starts now. 48 hours or we go wide." As we left, Keisha leaned in and whispered, "You just asked Goliath to apologize." In writing. I adjusted my coat. "No," I said. I asked him to kneel. Back at Plinth HQ, Danielle was waiting in my office, phone shaking in her hand. "You're not going to believe this." She flipped her screen around, a LinkedIn post, 2,000 likes and climbing. Mark had just announced a rebrand, new slogan, new logo, new mission statement, all lifted word for word from the internal deck I'd left behind on purpose. Bait. Lucas walked in behind her, grinning. "You ready?" he asked. I raised an eyebrow. "For what?" He turned the monitor toward me. "We had a new client, not just any client. Mark's wife's wellness company. She just signed the contract," Lucas said. "Apparently she found your original strategy deck in his Dropbox and said, 'I want her.'" I sipped my coffee. "Tell her we're honored." Then I smiled. "And tell her I don't do discounts." By Wednesday, Mark was unraveling in real time. Not just reputationally, personally. It started when someone leaked a voicemail. 14 seconds of pure panic. His voice high-pitched and cracked, muttering, "This is sabotage. We need to audit every client, check if she had access to the retention models." Then a beat of silence followed by a quieter, raspier whisper. "Did we sign anything?" That could be. Legally binding. The file hit Reddit. Then Twitter. Then the inbox of every journalist I'd ever had to babysit through a press release. Danielle walked into my office at 9:14 a.m. with a grin that said someone was about to lose their last shred of dignity. "They just sent out a firm-wide gag order," she said, handing me a printed email. Subject: do not engage with media inquiries. Body: all staff communications regarding the X-Corp transition must be cleared through legal and brand risk immediately. This includes personal social accounts. It was signed off by Tina. I imagined her typing it while icing her jaw from the last meeting. "They're bleeding out," Lucas said as he joined us. "But here's where it gets spicy." He pulled up our analytics dashboard. One of their secondary clients, Midline Capital, just requested a sit down with us. They said they want to explore fresh talent before Q3. "Midline's worth $6 million, Danielle muttered. And I asked. Lucas flipped to the next slide. "They asked if your deck was still available." "Original one?" I didn't answer. I was too busy staring at the internal email I'd just received from my old firm's IT director. "FYI, Mark's been digging through your old user folder like a raccoon on Adderall. Might want to check your backups." Underneath was a forwarded screenshot. Mark had tried to restore my Slack DMs, the ones I'd wiped. The ones I wanted him to notice were missing, because if he went looking for dirt, he'd trip the tripwire. 3 hours later, I got the confirmation. Lucas barged in, holding up his phone. He tried to open Nightingale. I stood slowly, felt my pulse settle. "Did the trigger go off?" Lucas nodded. "Full log dump sent to 3 outlets. Pre-drafted cover email. Pinned to Tina's personal Gmail, too." Danielle let out a low whistle. "You're not just burning the bridge, you wired the riverbed with C4. I didn't answer, just walked over to the window. Looked down at the city. Somewhere in a sleek boardroom, Mark was realizing what I had done. The Nightingale file had one purpose: exposure. It contained project theft, fabricated client data, and most deliciously, a secret side deal with a vendor that just happened to employ Mark's cousin. All traceable, all timestamped. And now, all public, by noon. Business Insider was live with a headline that made my ribs vibrate. Exclusive. Internal leak exposes potential fraud. CEO panic at leading ad agency. Mark's face was the thumbnail. Danielle stared at the screen, breathless. Lucas asked, "You think he'll resign?" I sipped my tea. "Oh, he'll wish he could." Then I leaned back in my chair and said what we were all thinking. But they're not done yet. Now comes the retaliation. Retaliation didn't come with subpoenas. Came with flowers. Peonies. White ones, my least favorite. With a note, congrats on the launch. Let's be civil. Emmett was delivered to Plinth's reception desk by a courier in a velvet jacket who looked like he moonlighted as a magician. Danielle stared at the bouquet like it was ticking. That man just tried to assassinate your reputation and now he's sending peonies? I pulled the card from between the petals and sniffed the stems. Still smells like desperation, I said. Maybe even fraud. Lucas ran the sender's info through our contact trace system. The florist address was legit, but the charge came from a Shell LLC, one tied to Clear Span, a boutique PR firm known for reputation recovery and burying harassment lawsuits with influencers who wore chunky glasses and said vibes unironically. Danielle narrowed her eyes. He's getting ahead of the next article. He was, because that was the real nuke. Not Nightingale, not the stolen decks or the fake metrics. Those were appetizers. The entree, a whistleblower affidavit, filed by someone still working inside his company, an anonymous junior analyst who'd been quietly deeming me for months under the handle Zero Elevator. They had proof, audio clips, Slack exports, a budget spreadsheet with bold red text reading, adjust report language, make her look replaceable. They wanted to remain anonymous. Fine, I didn't need their name, just their truth. Keisha submitted the affidavit to the EOC and looped in a journalist who owed her a favor from a discrimination case in 2019. We didn't break the story. We detonated it. And sure enough, that afternoon, a press statement dropped on my old firm's website. We value all employees and are investigating the allegations thoroughly. The font was sterile, the layout desperate. But the final sentence caught my eye. Effective immediately, our CEO will be stepping aside pending review. Stepping aside. The polite way of saying he got dragged out by his tailored lapels and dumped behind a dumpster fire he lit himself. I didn't celebrate, not yet, because just as I closed the page, a new email popped up. Subject, urgent regarding former employees. From Tina Reeves, I clicked. It wasn't a cease and desist, it was a warning. I tried to stay loyal, but they're shifting blame. If this goes to court, I'm not going down alone. You should know they're already prepping to leak your NDA from 2020. They'll frame it like you breached first, that you planned this while still on salary, that everything you've built is poison-pilled from the inside. I stared at the screen. It wasn't fear that gripped me. It was something colder, a sense of inevitability, because she was right about one thing. I did plan this while still on salary. Every strategy, every hire, every client nudge, but what she didn't know? I never signed the 2020 NDA. The version she had was unsigned, a decoy, time-stamped, dated, but missing one tiny thing, my signature. And now, thanks to their threat, I had their attempt to forge it. Lucas looked up from his laptop, eyes wide. They forged your signature? I nodded slowly. Danielle whispered, that's jail. I stood, cracked my knuckles, and smiled for real. No, I said, that's leverage. Thursday morning, 6:03 a.m., I walked into our office to find Keisha already there, heels off, sleeves rolled, scrolling through her second iPad like she was orchestrating a hostile takeover of the Vatican. She didn't even look up. They forged two versions, she said, one with your initials, one with your full name, both garbage, bad kerning, wrong date format, and they used the old company logo. It's laughable. I sat down across from her, poured coffee from the pot she'd brought from home. You know what to do? Keisha nodded. I'm filing federal, fraud, breach, and retaliation. We'll go scorched earth. No, I said slowly. We'll go surgical. She raised an eyebrow. I want them bled out, not blown up. I want every client to choose to leave. Every partner to disassociate. I want their brand to rot in the sun while they spin PR statements until their lawyers beg them to shut up. She smiled. You're darker than I thought. No, I said, I'm methodical. By noon, the story had evolved. The forged NDA screenshots, leaked anonymously of course, ended up on a legal tech forum and got dissected by keyboard-savvy paralegals like it was the Zapruder film. The conclusion? Clumsy, fraudulent, dumb. Then, one by one, the dominoes started falling. Midline Capital publicly terminated their contract. Viro Lab, a biotech client who loved their ESG compliance, posted a statement saying they no longer align with Mark's company values. A former board member called for full leadership restructuring. And Tina, she jumped ship. Sent me a final email. I was loyal to the wrong people. I've attached everything I know. You'll find the good parts on page 6. Enjoy. She was right. Page 6 had the kicker. An internal memo from last year where Mark bragged about undercutting female leadership salaries to preserve margin optics. That was the nail. By Friday morning, their site was down, their Instagram wiped, and their LinkedIn banner changed to "We're hiring new chapter ahead," which is code for "We're bleeding interns and praying someone still believes in us." I didn't dance, didn't pop champagne. Instead, I stood alone in the Plinth conference room, lights dimmed, watching our dashboard flash. Client retention 100%. Growth trajectory obscene. Press inquiries 47, all asking for comment from me. I gave none because sometimes the loudest statement is silence backed by results. Danielle poked her head in. You okay? I nodded. Lucas followed, holding a box. Someone dropped this off downstairs. No return label. He set it on the table and walked out. I opened it slowly. Inside, a torn manila envelope, shredded pieces of a forged NDA, and a $1 bill. Crisp, clean, no note, no apology, just acknowledgement. I stared at the bill for a long time. Then I took it, walked to our office corkboard, and pinned it dead center beneath a sticky note that read, "Value accurately reflected. War over. Empire standing." And this time, my name was on every damn door. Thanks for joining the revenge party, you wise rebels. Subscribe for more tales. Let's keep the office gossip hotter than a fresh pot.